time period, and effectively 9 years is given so that you can achieve that. Now, when that was to be done, what did the NCTE do? NCTE issued notification saying that we are recognizing NIOS to run a distance course of 18 months, which will be treated on par with the 24-month DLED, only for in-service teachers. These cases went to various high courts, eventually out of Uttarakhand it came to the Supreme Court. In the principal judgment in November 2023, this court held that we don't see the equivalence, however we'll protect the teachers who are in the saddle. On 10th of December 2024, the court was pleased in a review jurisdiction to clarify that judgment and say that all those teachers in the country, not only limited to Uttarakhand, all the teachers who were in the saddle and who lacked the DLED but had before that cutoff date, which is 31st March 2019, done the 18-month course would be entitled to use that qualification for the purposes of A, continuing in service, and B, for applying to any new advertisements, etc., treating that as a complete qualification. What significantly the court was not going to look at, which NCTE also did not insist on in their notifications, was a TET requirement. So there also it will only DLED. So the minute you've done your DLED, you are entitled to continue and you're entitled to apply for jobs without a further requirement of now you are going to TET as well. I hope I'm making myself clear. So even there, the requirement of TET has not been met. Both of these are different aspects of the same notification, 2010, 2011, August and July, which you're not should have seen, which this court has interpreted and looked at. There is a third one, which arose out of Jharkhand, where in the Jharkhand High Court, I hope I'm not boring a lot into the background information, but it's important to know that each aspect of these qualifications have come up for consideration, have been considered when Your Lordship have delivered verdicts on it. The third one was
the only question is that these judgments have to be delivered in the context of these notifications.
That's correct.
Otherwise, there would be some silencial judgment.
That's correct. They've all been considered. All these notifications are considered each of them.
They're considered 2013, 2014.
Yes.
So just show us that.
No, 2014 is you can also look at the promotion aspect.
No, 2013 also.
Yes.
If they had a look at 2013,
they had, but I would show it to you if
2010.
Yes.
If they have had a look at 23rd August 2010,
yes.
2011, 2014.
All these notifications have been placed there, but I'm not drawing a lot of attention to it because it's not had a germane impact on it with reference to what we are having.
We have to look at it.
I'll show you. I'll show you all of them. I'll show you all of them. There's no issue there.
So,
they were all on record. Yes.
Suppose the Act says that you will take that there will be a regulator.
Yeah.
The regulator will stipulate a minimum qualification.
Yes.
And you have to get it within a certain number of years as decided by the regulator.
Yes.
Now, the regulator may, in its wisdom, become an exam which many may believe is not appropriate.
Yes.
Like you are saying, TET is not appropriate, when this DELD or some other exam is more appropriate.
Equivalent, yes.
But that's the regulator's choice.
That is correct.
We as a court
Yes.
can't say that if the regulator had a better option, should not have opted for TET, but should have gone for
I'm seeking only to hoist the regulator on its own petard. I am not remotely saying that the regulator had another option. I'm saying the regulator itself has said that it is not mandatory. Why do I have to look elsewhere? This is what the regulator has said. That's what I'm saying.
So, in these notifications, you have not.
These notifications, I want to interpret to show Your Lordship that they themselves have shown that the effect of TET is not as mandatory as they are arguing today. The last three paragraphs of the affidavit itself today are self-contradictory. There's no consistency in those three paragraphs.
Last paragraph is a categorical answer to the query raised.
But it's contradictory to the previous two paragraphs. So
It can only supplement.
Yes.
By notifications, they cannot supplant the law.
No, they cannot. That's it. So what I'm saying is, now let me
They have brought wisdom now. Law requires this to be done. We may have relaxed it, we may have diluted it.
So before I just commence, one last point. In the public interest perspective, please bear in mind the following facts. A, the complete dearth of teachers that we have in the country. The facts speak for themselves. There are, as per government figures from 2018, close to 30% of all elementary level government school teachers teachers are untrained and do not have these required mandatory qualifications, if these are to be treated as mandatory. There's a shortage of qualified teachers. There are, as per 2021 figures, 11.16 lakh teaching positions in schools lie vacant in the country. In rural areas, vacancies as high as 69%. Now, bearing these factors in mind, when you have teachers who are available, who are in the saddle, who are in service, who are qualified, and who are the ones who taught all of us without TET, the manner in which TET is being looked at as being absolutely compulsory and mandatory and cast in stone. If it comes to a stage where it's a question of interpretation, I would attempt to persuade that please lean in favor of where we will have the teachers for the kids rather than not have the teachers for the kids.
That's the only question is,
Yes.
we have that option.
If it comes to interpretation, we are
not quarrel with that proposition.
Yes.
Question is, do we have a choice?
I believe your lordship. The constitutional court seems to be public interest triangular player.
Brother, I asked you, we cannot supplant the law.
No, not supplant. Interpret. That's what I'm saying.
See,
If your lordship can interpret.
yes, the interpretation is clear, categorical. We really cannot. Our hands are tied.
No, if it is clear again. I wish to draw your lordship's attention, therefore, to what I believe is the methodology that has been followed by the NCTE themselves. Just for a minute.
And also,
Yes.
keeping view the stand taken by the state of Maharashtra,
Yes.
saying it's absolutely mandatory. We have no dearth of teachers.
Correct.
We have as many teachers as we want with TET qualification.
Correct.
Now, if a particular state has not held the exams at regular intervals,
Yes.
then that state is to be blamed, or that state should have written a letter to the NCTE
Yes.
and asked for a waiver or for an extension of time periods. NCTE has today repeatedly pointed out that we were writing to the state, our regulation, our rules permit to grant waiver to that state or that extension of time.
Sorry.
And they have, the state of Tamil Nadu was not even applied.
That's good.
Then how do we deal with that situation?
Now, if your lordship for a minute will take the act for a minute, which means see section 23 as it now stands of the right to education. So, for a moment, I'm just putting the minority institution on the back burner because I believe that's
Minority, actually, my brother has already pointed out that that is dealt with the 5 judges bench. We might maximum say that we may need reload. But what is your view? We were just discussing.
yes.
According to us, the RTE Act is a far more comprehensive act.
Yes.
Rather than just give the 25% admission.
Yes.
25% admission may not be held applicable to the minorities.
Yes.
But the right to education is a far more comprehensive act.
Yes.
It is dealing with all situations, standards of education, standards of teachers, how a disabled student is to be taught in school, how many disabled how many teachers you need who can handle students with disability in a school.
Yes.
All these provisions are there.
Yes.
What should be the
Ban
implementation
on
of school?
ban on bagging, ban on corporal punishment. All that is coming.
It's a far more comprehensive act. How do you say this will not apply to a minority student? Maybe for the benefit of the minority.
So there are two responses. The first, and here once again very natural because yes, I believe that the correct approach would have been, should have been, that there are provisions of the RT which possibly should apply across the board. There are provisions which are neutral and which are necessary for protecting the children.
Yes.
Because that's the priority there. That's a priority in 21A. The reason you made it a fundamental right for that purpose.
Correct. That's what you're saying. That's so. It's a child-centric act. No?
So yes, taking the entire act and dumping it is not a legislative competence issue. So maybe that perhaps that would be the correct view, I would say. But having said that, I also believe that when many of the states had enacted their education acts, the education as a subject was an entry level of list students. So it was completely within their power. The union couldn't have stepped in. Now, when the union stepped in, it came only after the 1977 movement of entry 11 to entry 23 of this 3, which empowered Parliament to make the right to education. Now, that was in fact one of the questions, one of the basis as to why the MFI was before 11. One of the points they were bearing in mind was about the fact that, look, education now being in list 3, all our previous judgments, even Madhavad St. Xavier's, was prior to that when it was list 2. What impact does coming to list 3 have? Which is one of the points that they bore in mind. But I believe that if the state enactments to a large extent cover the same field as the right to education does, and if these minority institutions are complying with those, many of those enactments are prior in time. Tamil Nadu, however, there is a new 2018 Act which is in challenge in the High Court, but otherwise it was a 1973 enactment. But many states, Delhi, for example, you're absolutely 71 education. So all of them, if you are ascribing to those broad principles, then I believe the Right to Education Act, in those parts which I earlier said should apply, may already be applied.
It's a modern act.
Yes.
With current situation.
Yes. Yes.
It's a far more comprehensive act.
No, it is more comprehensive. It's taken into consideration many of the ameliorative measures that your lordships have directed in education cases. So all that I think has brought it together. But that this is purely speaking as a abacus. My other view, of course, is that it's completely covered, not only by FILE, even earlier in Society for Unaided, when these sections were squarely in challenge, they looked at its applicability to minority aided and unaided institutions and said that as far as minority unaided institutions, it would not apply.
Let's look at Rule 11 for instance.
Yes.
Responsibility of schools and teachers.